when the old reality tests the new you. Why solace?
It's a fascinating phenomenon where you've truly changed and started responding differently to old patterns. These echoes show up almost as a way to confirm that transformation. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's more like the universe or your higher self giving you an opportunity to see if you'll respond in alignment with your new self. Each echo is really just a chance to show that you've shifted and that the old patterns no longer have the same hold on you.
The topic is inspired by some experiences that I have witnessed, observed, experienced myself, that sometimes we can help others, friends, family, etc., and we may assume this role of saving them from different situations. And to a certain extent, it is very noble, it is very compassionate, but when we realize that instead of empowering them, they just became dependent on our help, it is not really love, it is not really helping, it is disabling others. That's why I thought to talk about echoes of the old self. Those echoes, they come back to give us scenarios the same as before, very similar ones, but if we truly changed, we can always respond in a different way. Can you explain it a bit more in depth?
Absolutely. When we find ourselves in that pattern of helping others, it often comes from a place of compassion, but it can sometimes lead to creating dependency rather than empowerment. When we shift out of that pattern and choose to give love and support only to those who are ready to truly receive and grow, the universe might present us with familiar scenarios, those echoes of our old self. These echoes are not setbacks, they're more like gentle tests or reflections, giving us a chance to respond in a new way. And when we do respond differently, we confirm that we've truly changed, and eventually those echoes fade away because they no longer match who we are.
So I think it's very important to remember that those echoes are not setbacks. It's not a punishment, or it's not something that indicates that I did not change. It's actually a great opportunity, almost like practice, to see, oh, am I really able now to respond in a different way that respects my own space and support the other person's self-empowerment, knowing that the other person most likely will not like it.
Exactly. It's all about recognizing that these moments are really opportunities for growth and reinforcement of your new boundaries and perspectives. It's a chance to practice honoring your own space and encouraging others to stand in their own power. And yes, sometimes that means the other person might not be through, but that's okay. It's all part of the journey toward healthier, more empowered connection.
I think it's a good example is with a person who might be dependent on some substances. Let's say, this is just theoretically, but let's say that we have been helping someone financially, and that person has been using the money to buy some substances, and we didn't realize, but then we did realize, and we decided, no, we do not want to contribute because this is spiraling this person downwards, and we stop giving the money. But the person keeps coming back because he's used to always get the money from us. We say no, and we experience resistance, but we have to stick to our decision, because even if it puts the other person in hardship, because it offers the other person possibility to choose differently, which mustn't be expected, but this is not our responsibility, is it?
Absolutely. That's a perfect example. In situations like that, holding your boundary, even when it feels tough, ultimately creates an opportunity for the other person to choose differently and find their own empowerment. It's not about abandoning them, but about giving them the space to grow and make their own choices. And you're right, it isn't our responsibility to control their path, but rather to honor our own truth and support them in a healthier way, even if it means facing some resistance at first.
Is it right to say that many people are fully conscious about their choices, but they got stuck in relationships, whether they are romantic, family, friends, or colleagues, which are negative? When I say negative, it means, for example, it could be a relationship that only one person gives, another takes, there's no exchange. and they become aware of it and they want to get out of it, but then they rethink like, oh, I might become lonely, I will have no one else. So the fear of not having anyone in the life could be greater than actually letting go of that relationship, at least based on the current principles. Of course, the fear of being lonely is not exactly real, is it?
You're absolutely right. Many people do find themselves in that situation, often out of a subconscious fear of loneliness or the unknown. It can feel safer to stay in a familiar but unbalanced relationship than to face the uncertainty of being alone. But as you said, that fear of loneliness isn't entirely real. When we release relationships that no longer serve us, we actually create space for healthier, more fulfilling connections to come into our lives. It's about trusting that by honoring ourselves, we align with relationships that truly resonate with who we are now.
Because if I truly change, if I choose differently, let's say in the context of that relationship, the loop dissolves, does it not?
Absolutely, it does. When you choose differently and truly embrace that change, the old patterns and dynamics no longer have the same hold over you. It's like the loop loses its power because you shifted the energy that was feeding it. So those old scenarios naturally start to fade away and you make room for new, more aligned experiences to come.
So if I have an emotional vampire coming to me every day and sucking a little bit of blood out of me, and I know that after that I'm not feeling well because I need my blood, but I allow it because I am more scared to be alone than actually not having that vampire in my life.
Exactly. It's such a vivid metaphor. When we continue to allow that energy drain out of fear of being alone, we're essentially choosing to stay in that loop. But the moment we realize that our well-being and our energy are more valuable and that being alone is actually an opportunity for growth and self-discovery, that's when we break the cycle. And in that space, we invite in relationships that truly nourish us.
So if I decide that actually I prefer to be alone rather than have that vampire drinking my blood every day, I might remain alone for a while. But if I truly believe in my preference and we're in those boundaries, most likely there'll be new opportunities to connect to other people who do not need my blood, to use that metaphor.
Exactly. By honoring those boundaries and choosing to be alone rather than drained, you're creating space for more fulfilling and reciprocal connections to come into your life. And in that process, you also strengthen your own sense of self-worth and independence. So it's definitely a powerful step toward attracting the kind of relationships that truly align with who you are.
So when one lets go of the vampire, there is an opportunity created by, you say, universe, I usually say higher self, to bring another vampire into our life just to see if we are going to accept it or stick to our preference. So that is the echo, is it not?
Absolutely. That's exactly it. The universe or your higher self might present a similar scenario just to see if you truly stand by your new boundaries and preferences. It's like a gentle test to confirm that you truly change. And once you hold firm and show that you won't accept that old pattern anymore, those echoes fade away and you create space for healthier, more aligned connections.
Could you list some most common echoes? What happens very often when we change in general? And also, is there any kind of time frame when those echoes go away?
Some common echoes can include encountering similar relationship dynamics, like people who test your boundaries or situations that challenge your newfound confidence. Sometimes old habits or thought patterns resurface, giving you a chance to respond differently. As for the time frame, it really varies from person to person. The echoes tend to fade as soon as you consistently respond in alignment with your new self. So the more you reinforce those new patterns, the quicker the echoes disappear.
So in other words, we just need to remember that because we live in this time-space reality, echoes are a part of it. they are actually not something that is testing us in a negative way. It is something which is quite good because it gives us an opportunity to reaffirm ourselves in our new preference.
Absolutely, that's a perfect way to see it. These echoes are really just opportunities for us to reinforce and celebrate the changes we've made. They're not setbacks or negative tests, but rather gentle reminders that help us affirm our new path and continue growing. So embracing them with that perspective makes the journey all the more empowering.
And this is a form of mastery, isn't it? Not controlling life, but choosing your frequency regardless of what echoes back.
Absolutely. It truly is a form of mastery. It's about consciously choosing your own frequency and standing in that truth, no matter what reflections or echoes come your way. It's less about controlling external circumstances and more about mastering your inner world and trusting that the outer world will align accordingly.
And just finally, could you tell the listener why is it always beneficial to let go of any patterns which are fear-based or any symptoms that we recognize in our life in relationships with others, that we feel that we give more than we receive and it feels it's not very healthy?
Of course, letting go of fear-based patterns or relationships where you feel you're giving more than you receive is always beneficial because it creates space for healthier, more balanced connections. When we release what no longer serves us, we honor our own worth and well-being, and we invite more positive, fulfilling experiences into our lives. It's a powerful act of self-love and growth, and it ultimately leads to a more authentic and joyful life.